Hello and welcome to the Music Survival Guide, the independent musician's guide on how to survive in the music industry. My name's Phil, a mixing and mastering engineer. Well, I hope you're all well and safe and happy. I hope you had a good 3 or 4, I can't quite remember, weeks off of the podcast. There's so many back episodes, it doesn't really matter, does it? But I just thought I need a bit of a break, bit of time away, so I thought summer's a great time for that. So anyway, here we are, we're back again. And this week, I've got an interview with Luke and Leigh, who are the bassist and the drummer, respectively, of Circus 66. Circus 66 are making some real inroads into the rock scene, so I really wanted to chat with them about how they're operating, how it's all working, things like that. So this week we chat about how they both got into the band with the encouragement of their wives, being drunk at gigs and doing surprisingly well, and when your gear cuts out mid-song, what do you do? How do you react? That kind of thing. It's worth saying that because this is quite a long interview, I've split it up into 2 episodes. The first part is this week, the second part will be out next week. At the end of the second episode, I asked them both for their favourite song to play at the end of the podcast. And I'm going to play the first of their choices this week. So Luke's choice is called When the Black Crow Flies. And you'll have to wait until the end of next week to find out why it's his favourite one. But suffice to say, it is his favourite. So it's going on at the end of this interview. Anyway, I'm going to stop blathering on. On with the interview. So, today on the podcast, I am joined by Luke and Leigh of Circus 66. How are you both?
Hey, Phil, how's it going? Yeah, really good, mate. How are you?
Warm.
Yes, it's a warm day.
Yes. So this particular episode is going to be going out in September. As we record it, it is one of the warmest days in July I've ever known, and I'm melting. But there we go. There we go. How are you, Luke?
All good. Just to say thanks for having us, Phil. Really glad to be with you today.
Welcome aboard, if that's the right terminology. I don't know. So my first question, as always, is from a random question generator. So my random question generator today is asking, what is one of your favourite smells?
Interesting. Yeah, I could be a little romantic and say it's the smell of fresh grass when the rain has been poured over a lovely, beautiful picnic with my gorgeous wife. But it's probably a sweaty gig room with a few beers being spilt all over me.
Is that a good smell?
That's where I feel at home. Is that a good smell? Well, it's I don't know. It reminds me of the good times that we used to have.
It's evocative.
Now we're in this apocalypse. It's a distant memory which I'm craving.
Yeah, worst apocalypse ever, by the way. I mean, didn't even have zombies. Like, what's that all about?
I know, right?
I think for me, it would be the smell of citronella, because it reminds me of hot tropical places and keeping those horrible mosquitoes away. Bit of a boring answer from me, but I'm a simple man.
That's fine. That's fine. It's the honest answer. That's what I like about it. So on to, I guess, more serious questions. How did each of you get into music in the first place?
So for me, I started at a young age from school, really. My dad's a guitar player. He was always playing music around the house, getting me into some of the old classic rock stuff. So he bought me my first guitar, which was a Squier Stratocaster. I remember it. Very, very wise decision on his behalf, trying to get me to play guitar. It lasted about, I don't know, a year or two. And then I met a drummer at school and I was just obsessed. I was like, why am I not doing this? This is so much more fun. I get to beat stuff with some sticks. Yeah, so he was a little bit like, that's annoying. I just bought you a guitar for Christmas, spent all this money. Well, I say all this money, but to buy the effects pedals that I wanted and the amplifier and all of that jazz, to then turn around and be like, actually, I want to be a drummer. Dribble, dribble, dribble. But yeah, that's it. Really. I mean, the influences, they come through from my dad, and then it's just a crowd at school. It's a typical stand out, don't follow the crowd sort of thing. That's sort of me written all over. I don't like to follow the crowd. Once Dizzy Rascal was coming out on CD and all that, it just wasn't a bit of me. So yeah, I think I just hung around with the right people to get me into the stuff I'm doing right now.
Similar for me, really. We, again, while we're on the topic of musician dads, right? My dad was a part-time keyboard and bass player, and I remember from a young age I was always, I'd be messing around with the ivories, and never any good at it. Started out with some keyboard and piano lessons, got reasonable at it, I'd say. Learned a lot about music, but kind of lost my love for it when I was at school. And then I remember going into my kind of formative years as a, late teens, coming out of school, going into college. Everybody I knew was going into a band, and everybody I knew wanted to be a guitar player or a drummer or a singer. Nobody wanted to play the bass, and I kind of felt a little bit left out. And I was like, well, everyone's going to need a bass player. I can play for all these different bands, and I know I'll go buy a bass. And I still remember the conversation with my dad at the ripe old age of 16, where he said to me, "Good on you, lad, but don't spend too much money because it's just a fad. It's one of your fads, and it won't stick." Fast forward, I'm however many years, 25 years now or something like that, and my dad is still, I remind him of that conversation, and he says to me, "Yeah, I was so wrong."
Best member of the band is the bassist, at least that's
Ooh, controversial.
because I am a bassist, so it's the way it goes.
There you go. It's biased.
Yeah, I'd love to learn the bass. Great instrument.
I'd love you to learn the bass as well.
It's like that saying about the bass player who has one lesson and then says, "I'm not going to go any back because I've got a gig next week."
That's pretty much how it went for me. Yeah, I joined didn't have it. I still don't really have any idea what I'm doing, but ended up finding myself in various musical endeavors, playing shows, and it kind of went from there.
As long as you play the right note in the right time, that's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah, see, as a bass player, he's got this trick. So if he misses the note, he just slides his finger up and down. So it looks like he's just doing a little slide into the chorus. He talked to our guitar player Matt about that. It's a good little number, isn't it?
If in doubt, slide it out.
There are no wrong notes in this life.
Yeah, I never got very good at playing the bass, but I got really good at hiding my mistakes.
It's how we get through life.
So moving on a bit, how did the band get together in the first place?
So Circus 66 has existed, actually predates Leigh and I. We're the relatively new blood in this group. I think Matt started the band. Matt's the guitarist. Matt started the band as a bit of a university project back in 2012, 2013, something like that. And it really evolved over time. There's been a few lineup changes that Annabelle added to the lineup from a vocal perspective over the years. But really, where the Circus 66 that you'll know and hear today, where it came from was I was out of music. I was effectively semi-retired from music. I was a little bit, frustrated with playing covers gigs and session work. I'd spent some time doing session work. It wasn't for me. And my wife actually said to me, every time we go see a live band, every time anything musical is in front of us, it's like you got this itch you can't scratch. So get out there and find a band to play with. And as if by magic, without me lifting a finger, Matt found me on, I think it was through like a local band page or couple of Instagram videos or something like that. He just reached out and said, "We've just hired a new drummer. He's brilliant. Come along. We rehearse in the same town. Let's get together. Let's just kind of have a listen, and we'll just see if it fits." And I walked into that rehearsal room very nervous, didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really know the songs. The previous records they'd released, I didn't really know anything about what this whole thing was about, and just showed up. And they haven't kicked me out yet. I just keep showing up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mustard's story there is pretty accurate. It was a pre-66 that existed before me and him joined. But yeah, if we're going on the old personal level, my story's a bit similar as well. I got really excited when I was going to shows and booking things like that, and I hadn't played in a band for 10 years or so. The last gig I did in London, I think was 2009 or 10. And the wife bought me a drum kit as a surprise for Christmas. I loved it, played around, in the house, had some jams and stuff, and then I soon realised that being a drummer just in your house is not as good as playing with musicians. So yeah, I did the same thing. What my wife calls Tinder for bands. I joined that, and yeah, I got a message from Matt just saying we're looking for a drummer, blah de blah de blah. And I was fortunate enough to go and see them at a show with their old lineup in Reading. It was a show in Reading. Yeah, gave them a listen and thought this is a bit of me, but it needs something else. And I think it needed what I bought and what Mustard's bringing, and that's just a bit more depth. Listening to some of the old recordings as well, it needed a bit of jazzing up. The sound was brilliant, musically fantastic. I wouldn't have joined if I didn't think that. It just needed, I don't know, redesigning a little bit. I don't think we haven't steered too far away from it. We just, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but
We bring the thunder. We laugh around. We bring the thunder, right? If you listen to the old record, it's an EP called Showtime, released prior to Leigh and I joining. Then you listen to what we've done with our new album, Follow the Black Crow. Hopefully you'll hear the difference, right? We try and kind of lock in, keep things grooving, and just make everything big. Give Matt and Annabelle a really solid platform to just kind of do what they do best.
Do you think that difference is just both of your styles and your musical influences kind of coming to bear on the band?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, mine and Mustard, Luke, our influences are pretty different. I like the heavy stuff. My old band was called the Death Trucks. That probably speaks for itself. And Mustard likes his funky stuff and some of the old classic stuff like Extreme and whatnot. So we do bring that. The funk side was sort of there already. It didn't have massively the heavy side, but Matt, the first thing he said he was into Clutch. That's where we clicked on. He likes Clutch. He likes a bit of the stoner stuff. So I said I could definitely add some of that sort of groove behind it. But no, I don't think it's just because of us. I think they were ready because they had a few riffs and a few songs half written that they just couldn't finish. So it was kind of like they needed us. I feel like, without being big-headed, but Matt has said to me before he wasn't sure, if this doesn't work out with me and Mustard, he's not sure if he wants to continue the project because it's been going obviously for so long, since I think 2013. Did you say, or something like that? Yeah. So yeah, it may have died, if the right people didn't come along, but it didn't deserve it.
Yeah, I think we clicked. The thing that was apparent to me, even on a first listen with the older material, right, that we didn't write, we weren't involved in it, is the guitar licks are insane. And believe me, anything you hear Matt do on record, he can do live and often improvise on top of it. He's an insane guitar player. And the same goes for Annabelle. I actually think Annabelle is better in a live setting than she is recorded. She has so much energy, and the raw material, as a someone who's been involved in music and whatnot for a long time, the raw material was always there. The potential was always there, and that we get quite a lot of freedom. This all clicks because we all have different backgrounds, tastes in different tastes in music, different kind of perspectives on things. There's no individual controlling benefactor in this. It's a collaborative effort between all of us, and that's where I think you get hints of the old classic Circus sound from what Matt and Annabelle are doing, but then you get that little bit extra from some of the things we bring to the table.
I mean, I've got to ask, because it is written all over your new record in various parts, is who brings the Southern rock influence? Because I hear it. It comes out in the guitar most of all, I find.
Yeah, I think, if you listen to the EP, there's a lot of that on the Showtime EP. So a lot of that does come from Matt. He's got the guitar slides, he's got that Southern twang. Annabelle as well, she's got them roots in her too, with her lyrics and with the writing styles when they work collectively. It all comes out. But yeah, don't get me wrong, that's a bit of me too. Lynyrd Skynyrd's, right up my street. like for instance, Clutch. That's a heavy influence on my drum playing, particularly. Yeah, I don't know about you though, Mr. Mustard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a Clutch fan, right? There's always similarities in the bands that we listen to, the types of things we like. I've never been. I wouldn't say I've been massively influenced by Southern rock, but how can you not? It's such a broad genre, and that very American kind of powerhouse rock sound. I think most people will have heard it, even if they don't recognize that that's the label you put on it, right? And it's something that, yeah, it's unmistakable.
But put it this way then, Phil, because you picked up on it, would you define us as a Southern rock band?
No.
There you go.
Genre definitions are so difficult, and I try and steer away from it. If I was to really give you a genre, I would describe you as heavy or hard rock with the occasional Southern rock thing that kind of creeps in. That's what I'd say.
Easiest way. That's an easy out there, Phil. Come on.
Because it's right. I think that's right, but I don't know. I don't really do genre definitions.
Nah, good man.
So, moving on a bit, what was your first gig like with the band? Because they were already established and you were coming into that.
It was probably a bit like the last one, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, you're right. I'll never forget it. It was my birthday, March 2019, I think it was, 7th of March 2019. And we had been, so just to set the scene, I had been told, I hadn't been officially hired for this band, right? I wasn't, I was learning songs. I was kind of, this was a testing the water. Let's see how you do live. We're not going to make a decision on the final lineup until we've seen what you guys can do live. And we had a fantastic venue, a fantastic crowd, and a fantastic set of acts working with us on the day. It was at a place called the Big Red in London.
Great venue, or it was a great venue.
It was indeed, yeah. Very, very sad to see that venue go. It was a great night. We had, as I say, great crowd, great people. The other bands were fantastic. The sound in there was incredible. I wish I could tell you more about the gig, but for the fact that I was quite drunk. Something I would never normally do. First gig with a new lineup, you're trying to put your best self out there. Nah, I got drunk, horrendously drunk at that. So I don't actually remember the show. I've seen footage back afterwards, and actually, I'm surprised we were as tight as we were, because I must have just been on autopilot. All I remember from that show was trying to not fall over in the middle of the set. But it was a great night. It was a lot of fun had by everybody, and I think there was definitely a connection between us and the folks in the crowd, and that's what live music's all about.
Yeah, and to add to that, I'm probably the opposite. I like a drink when I'm playing. I think it just loosens me up a bit, probably slows me down a bit as well, keep the tempo more in time. But yeah, as a first show, bearing in mind this was in March 2019, and me and Mustard joined the band in December, January, so it was 2 months before our first show. I hadn't played drums in a band for 10 years. He was a bit similar as well. It was tight, but we threw in a cover, and I remember a review coming back from the critics saying, why did they do a cover? Their material alone, their own material, stands up on its own and it's killer. But the critic doesn't know that we've just joined the band. Time was, it was one of them gigs we didn't want to cancel or whatever. Matt had this gig that we wanted to do. We were pinned to do it. It was a sellout show. The gig was packed, and so we said we'd do it. We did it nervously, but we went up there, did our thing. As I say, we did one cover, got a little bit slated on that, but it was worth it because bad press is also good press. Shows us that our material is good enough to stand on its own, and we had lots of fun. And I think it solidified our places in the band, right?
Absolutely, yeah, it definitely did. I certainly sensed. I don't know what it was like for you, Leigh, but I sensed there was a lot more trust and confidence coming from the other guys, and it just seemed to lock in really tightly. And if we could do that off of really minimal preparation, right? Two new guys joining this band that already had a history. They already had songs written. They had a way of working, a way of doing things, and we could slot into that and enhance it and do it tight and do it well with a drunk bass player. That was obviously a good sign.
I mean, my follow-up question maybe doesn't apply to Luke so much, given that you were drunk, but maybe aimed more at Leigh. Did you feel a real sense of nervousness because you were joining an established band that people knew, and you were sort of the newbie to the situation?
No, not really. I actually don't get nervous. Part of my job, in my actual career outside of the band, I do have to stand up in front of a lot of people and give speeches and presentations. It's quite new, that role to me, and I find that scares the hell out of me. But going up and getting behind a drum kit, I mean, I'm kind of hidden away, but also I'm in the spotlight. People are watching me, in the hundreds or whatever. There's people listening and judging me. That takes a lot of courage, but yeah, it doesn't faze me at all. Actually, quite often I'm the guy backstage chilling everybody out and hyping them up and trying to get them to release the energy on stage. That's just me, though. I enjoy it. I don't get nervous. We've had similar situations when we went in the BBC Live Lounge. I remember our mate on the bass player there. He was very, very nervous about doing that because that's being exposed to a raw sound. It's live on air, recorded. So you make a mistake, then that's it. But yeah, me, I'm cool.
You were the most confident person in the world when we did that. We did a live lounge session, a new kind of milestone for all of us, I think, to be given a brilliant opportunity to do that. We love the guys at the BBC. They've really supported us in that way. And yeah, live on air, the nerves really start to kick in when you hear the DJ announcing over the air, introducing you, and you've got your count coming in. And I think we needed that little confidence boost. We needed good old Leigh, confident at the back, ready to go. Come on, guys, let's show them what we're made of.
Yeah, and to finish the final part of your question, I was drunk.
Fair. That makes it more impressive that you were all in time then for that gig.
Oh yeah, always.
I'm not sure if with more than a pint in me I could play bass with any sense of timing, but
it takes a
own.
really special person like me to be able to do that. I'm probably coming across really cocky in this podcast, but that's not me at all. I'm just being honest.
That's all you can be. So, have you had any nightmare experience gigs with the band where maybe things went wrong? And I'm getting lots of nods.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a story.
I can think of two.
yeah. I mean, you say one, and I'll see if I can guess the other one.
All right, I'll go with one where we had some equipment, some gear challenges. We were playing a show, quite an intimate little venue, but a good one nonetheless. We were debuting a new song, track called "Light the Fuse" from the album. First time we'd ever played it live. We'd only recently finished writing that song at that point in time, and we'd never performed it live. So we thought, well, let's try it. Let's see how the crowd reacts. Let's kind of test the waters a bit, see if people like it. And yeah, there's quite anyone that's listened to that song, there's a bass break in the middle of it, with some slappy kind of funky grooves going on. And yeah, lo and behold, I had a problem with my gear, and the bass disappeared from the mix. So everyone's looking at me as if to say, "What's going on? Fix it. Where's the bass?" This, kind of looking at each other, wondering what the hell we do next. While I'm sweating and nervously trying to figure out and troubleshoot what the problem is. So for me, that was a nightmare, complete nightmare.
Yeah, that's that was a show. I remember the one. We're not going to name and shame any venues or anything like that, though, because half of it's not always their fault anyway. Other than this one venue, no. Yeah, another one that I was thinking of is a place in London. I'll just say that. This was a very, very, very small venue. Just the run up to it, the organisation was a bit awful. It was one of them I guess, pay to play sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're still about, unfortunately. I thought that left the music scene when I did 10 years ago, but no, it's still a thing. And yeah, it was about the size of my downstairs toilet. We didn't get treated very well. I think we walked away with about £6 in our pocket as a there you go, that's how many tickets you sold and all of that jazz. Our set was a total of 22 minutes. The gig was on a Sunday and it was replacement bus services all the way from Farnborough. So it was about a 3.5 hour journey to play somewhere for 22 minutes. And it was just a bit annoying. But we do sort of use that example quite often because we were so angry at the promoters and everything like that, we actually gave it everything we had, and it was sort of blew the tiny little roof off the tiny little venue, and we had a laugh with it really, and we looked back at it, and we said. I think we just changed our ways of how we book shows in the future, what we're going to be, how we're going to respond, and just make ourselves a bit more professional when it comes to things like that.
I think that's a big, big takeaway for any bands listening, that when you have a gig, if you have a teeny tiny gig that feels like it's going awfully and there's only, a man and a dog in the venue, you really do have to give it your all. You can't have a gig where you don't try, because that person may go away and write a really bad review, and then before you know it, it kind of has this effect. But you also just want to throw yourself into every gig you get.
Yeah, you know what? I think in some ways, those shows where you're playing to, one man and his dog, they're almost more important in some ways. It's all about mindset, and we tend to think of them. We're very lucky in that we don't, we've put a lot of hard work in, and we don't have shows like that anymore. It's almost like a rite of passage where you have to do it to learn. You kind of you earn your stripes. You pick up your battle scars along the way, and you learn your lesson, and you move on. Whether that's doing something differently in the way that you book, or the agents you use, or whatever it might be. But whatever show, for any bands out there listening to this, whatever gig you get, blow the roof off the place. You have to give it absolutely 150%. Absolutely just go for it. And if it's one man and his dog, it's a free rehearsal.
Great way to look at it.
Free rehearsal. It takes 6 hours to travel there and back, but you do get paid. You get paid £6 at the end, so it's fine.
Winner.
You might get a pint in London for that.
I actually think our rider was 1 can of Foster's as well.
What, 1 can between all of you?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
quarter each.
Fair enough.
Of course, the way it was sold to us was, oh yeah, we'll make sure that you're fed and watered, not a problem. And when we get there, it's here's your can of Foster's. What about the other guys? They're like, no, that's between you. So, okay, thanks.
So my final question, I guess, about gigging is, as we record this, you've recently released an album, and as it goes out in September, that would have been a little while ago. And to accompany that, you put out a live entire of the album gig from KK Steel Mill, if I remember rightly. That's where it was recorded.
Yep.
And I've got to say that was a pretty epic release for an album. What was it like to do a gig to cameras?
Well, I think firstly, KK's was amazing. It was strange, a lot of hard work and very tiring to do, but also an immense amount of fun. And I can't think of a better way to spend a day than doing that. It's clearly, for me, a superb venue. That the crew that we had supporting us on the day was unreal, really, really helpful. Lovely guys, all very, very professional. Right the way for the sound engineering, the video production guys, everyone was there. That entirely focused on, right, let's capture some magic here. Let's get the best representation of the band as we can. It was all performed live. So what you see in the KK Steel Mill footage and the audio you hear, that was all captured live. And it was something I think we wanted to do to really show what we're all about live, right? There's a lot of, I personally I have a lot more respect for bands that can do they can do what they do live, almost above what they can do on record, because there's an awful lot, as you know, Phil, that you can do on record to clean up a record, make it sound a particular way, right? EQing things, etc. Right? And for me, you can't beat a great live band. I always want this band to be. I want this band to be known as a brilliant live band.
Stadium Rock, U2, that's us. Yeah, so behind the cameras and all that jazz. So, well, this is probably the fourth time that we've been behind the cameras in this new Circus lineup. We released 3 music videos running up to it as our trailers for the album release. So we did 1,000 Miles From Home. That was shot at a local pub near us, a local rock venue pub in Guildford. And then we did Monster, which was again is sort of a jam in a house with a bit more of a storyline behind it, and that was captured with a bit more of a storyboard. And then the third video, we decided to not be the lead roles in the music video for Jekyll or Hyde. We could have done it, but we chucked a bit more money at making it stand out a little bit and do something a bit more cinematic, because we haven't really seen too much of that. A lot of the band music videos we see these days are very much a band standing and playing their instruments and maybe some shaky camera footage. So yeah, being behind the camera at KK's is, I mean, I feel a bit awkward sometimes being on camera. You know they're there. I think it's really quite hard to look past that. Just cameras being in your face all the time. I mean, it is for 8 hours. So I was playing drums for 8 hours as well. So I was knackered. I was sweaty, probably hungover. But all in all, fantastic experience. And I echo what Mustard said as well. You know, the crew behind it were fantastic. And we had Crazy Cowboy there helping us. We had Bob Friedman from ERB magazine. We had New Wave of Classic Rock as well. So it was all in all very productive day, and hopefully it came across to showcase what we're like live. And first of all as well, thanks for tuning in, Phil.
It's all right. It was good fun. It was good fun to watch.
Thank you.
This bitter pill tastes like emptiness. My self-pity or happiness. Found a switch, turned off my dreams. Seems to be just stuck in between. Is it even possible to accept my time? Maybe I'm just ready to be unplugged from this weight of life. I think it's time to leave. Now my world can breathe. Flying head so high. black crow. In chaos I find my peace. I just did it on my way, yeah. It's time to be whatever you want to be. Thank